Well, I'm sitting in my chair late at night, watching crime unfold under the pale moonlight. From the darkest corner, stories unfold. True crime jewels, she's brash and she is bold. On the YouTube screen, we're digging deep into the mysteries that never sleep. From missing kids in Tennessee to angry husbands named Barry. True crime's calling, and we're taking the time. So grab a seat, don't miss a beat. This True Crime Jewels got what you need. From missing people to twisted minds, we're unraveling secrets old Barry tried to hide. Every clue, every twist and turn. In the world of crime, there's always more to learn. On the YouTube screen, we're digging deep into the mysteries that never sleep. From Christopher's anger to Stephen Fisher's lies. The truth is calling, and justice won't be denied. So grab a seat, don't miss a beat. True crime jewels on the YouTube streets. Lights are low, suspense is high. We're chasing truth, we spot every lie. Step into the darkness, hold on tight. Two flashlights out there in the dead of night. On the YouTube screen, we're digging deep. Barry Morphew's case is hot. A boy in Tennessee won't be left behind. From the coldest cases to the ones that shine, true crime's calling, and we're taking the time. So grab a seat, don't miss a beat. This True Crime Jewels got what you need. We're always watching Barry and waiting for the truth. In the world of crime, we discuss the proof. So hit that play and join the true crime journey with Jewels of Thought and her gemstone family.
All right, folks, how are you guys doing? In the words of the forever loved W.C. Fields, if you cannot dazzle them with brilliance, baffle them with bullshit. And I do, in fact, think that Christopher Proudfoot may have that tattooed right across his hindside. So that is what we're going to talk about today, or this evening, because we've already met earlier. We are going to continue down this road. We're going to continue down this road of nonsensical use of words. Just haphazardly throwing words out there as if it has some special power that Christopher Proudfoot, uses to put all of us into a stupor, right? He's hypnotizing all of us with his with his brilliant use of the English language, such as, oh, well, that's a HIPAA violation if I tell you about medication that I may be taking, or Sebastian may be taking, or Katie may be taking. It would be a HIPAA violation. Actually, Christopher, you're not a medical provider, and you don't work for a medical provider. And so HIPAA would not even be anything of concern of yours, except for you having the protection from your medical doctor. So yeah, he just throws words out there, and then he just expects us all to be dazzled because he's so brilliant, because he knows so much, right? All right. Now then, first little clip that I'm going to play. It was on, I believe this is it. Yeah. So this is on Queen Bee. And they were doing a live about Bullhorn Betty having her court appearance. And Christopher Proudfoot came up to, I suppose, to talk about what happened with the court thing with Bullhorn Betty. Now, I'm going to tell you guys this. He is quite subdued. His presentation is dramatically different than the Chris we have all come to know and dislike. Okay. And so you think, okay, so he's been humbled a bit by something, and I'm not going to go out on a limb and start, trying to mind read and make guesses about what it may be. But there's clearly an altered change in his demeanor. And Betty, or Audra, she went live as well right after all of the court stuff was finished. And she talked about being up on the 5th floor and looking down outside, and she could see the Proudfoot Bowersox clan. And it was very clear that Christopher was screaming at his mother, Mama Bowersox, that they were yelling at one another, and that included pointing fingers. So there was this huge altercation between them right there up there at the courthouse, and nobody knows what that was about. And yes, you can predict it. One side is saying that didn't happen. That's all lies. The green team, all they do is lie, 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 lie. You can't believe anything they say. We have that predictable group of people. And then we have the people that are going, well, I don't know what they were saying, but they were clearly very angry with one another. And there was a big disagreement, argument, and it was so passionate. The disagreement looked so bad that I thought any minute one of them might throw their fist. Okay, that's pretty specific, right? And it is consistent with historical reports. When Nina won her ruling, they had a big eruption and attacked each other, screaming and yelling at one another. Even law enforcement commented on that. So I find it amusing. Well, it's mildly irritating, but it's also kind of funny that the Queen Bee, Cluminati, JS for Justice, those subscribers that follow the Proudfoot fan club, they're just like, nope, not going to think, not going to use rational, logical thought, don't want to open my mind to possibilities, gonna blindly follow with drool coming out of the corners of my mouth, just gonna blindly follow whatever my fearless YouTube leaders tell me to believe, right? So it was interesting that Proudfoot came up on Queen Bee's channel directly after the hearing. I mean, minutes after the hearing. And so let's take a listen to what he has to say. A little bit of what he has to say, not the whole thing.
Figure that out, honestly. I don't want to overstep or say something that might be inaccurate or that I, don't really have any bearing on saying.
Maybe you.
Okay, thank you, Chris, for not just throwing BS out there.
I mean, you have to show up, right? You got subpoenaed, so do you have to show up there?
Oh, and leave it to Tim to use the word subpoena. Oh, well, if you get a subpoena, don't you have to go up there, Mr. Chris? Let's see what Mr. Chris says.
Or are they going to let you know before showing up and they're going to change the date?
Well, I mean, so as it stands right now, like we were served a subpoena this morning. That's
Wow. Listen to that, YouTube. So while you're all jumping up and down and saying, you're wrong, it was the March 25th subpoena for Bullhorn Betty's court case, and you guys don't know what you're talking about, and it was an old recording. This is your boy. This is your dude, and your dude has verified to the entire world that Sumner County Sheriff's Department did, in fact, come to his house today, April the 2nd, 2025, and serve him a warrant.
Everybody went crazy. Oh my God, there was a criminal warrant. Actually, no. There was a sheriff that showed up to our house this morning, and he served us with a subpoena.
Oh, okay, Chris. Thank you so much for clearing that up. It's wonderful when there's such honesty being put out about the case of a missing kid, Chris. You literally admitted that sheriff's department came to your house, served a warrant, and then you said, no, it wasn't a warrant at all. It was the subpoena that you were actually served on March the 25th. You thought you were putting something out there. Maybe you were in a panic. Maybe you just think you're smarter than everybody else, Chris. But you put it out there and ran your mouth and said, this is what the sheriff gave us today, when it is very clear, the document that you gave to Jays for Justice, it is very clear that that document was completed. It was served March the 25th, and that has been recorded in the computer system. That has nothing to do with whatever went down at your house today.
For the April 16th court hearing, and that's what that was all about. So, yes, we've been subpoenaed. We'll show.
Yeah.
I mean, we're local, so yes. If you're local, you need to show up regardless. If
here it
there's
is,
something
just for anybody that's questioning.
Thank you, Queen Bee. Thank you so much for being so helpful.
Yeah, I mean, and if that changes between now and then, I'm sure we'll be informed. And
Chaos gets so excited. Look how excited she is. Subpoena! Not a word. Okay, Kay, I think you should use your reading skills and pay close attention to what your fearless leader is providing for you, okay? Pay close attention. You, Chaos, are being bamboozled, and I'm about to prove it.
we'll move forward in the best course of action possible. But
It is
I mean,
a subpoena.
Yeah.
It is a subpoena. That's right. Subpoena. That's right. And it's dated March the 25th, 2025.
Warrant for those that
Well,
thought otherwise.
Right.
Because it's already
Every
going
legal
through the
document that's served is considered a warrant of some sort, whether it's a subpoena or some type of warrant. They still list it as a warrant.
Let's listen to that again.
I'm sure we'll be informed and we'll
Listen close.
move forward in the best course of action possible. But
It is
I mean,
a subpoena.
Yeah.
Not a warrant for those that
Well,
thought otherwise.
Right.
Because it's already
Every
going
legal
through the
document that's served is considered a warrant of some sort, whether it's a subpoena or some type of warrant. They still list it as a warrant.
Every legal document is listed as a warrant. Remember, you can't baffle them with brilliance. Dazzle them with bullshit. Isn't that right, Christopher? Christopher claims that every legal document is listed as a warrant. I wonder, Chris, have you ever considered carrying like a little dictionary around with you? You could probably get like a little pocket Merriam-Webster dictionary, but really you don't even have to do that because you have your smartphone, right? You can just go into Google and say, define subpoena or define warrant, or go to Chat GPT and ask, is every legal document listed as a warrant? Well, I did just that. And I can tell you that no, not every legal document is a warrant. Warrants are very specific court orders authorizing law enforcement action. Other documents like summons or subpoena serve entirely different purposes, Chris. A warrant is a court-issued order that authorizes law enforcement to take very specific actions like, Christopher, are you listening? Christopher? Like making an arrest. That's right. You can't arrest someone with a subpoena, Christopher. It requires a warrant. Or searching someone's property. You can't do that with a subpoena, Chris. It requires a warrant. Or, and this one is very interesting regarding the festivities of today, Chris. The seizure of property. That can't be done with a subpoena. It does, in fact, require a warrant. And it's very interesting, Chris, because today someone at Stafford Court, your house number, actually was served a warrant, not a subpoena. That subpoena that you gave to Jay for Justice, that subpoena was filed and completed on March the 25th. So what did you get today? Now, there are different types of warrants. There's an arrest warrant authorizing the police to arrest a person accused of crime. I suspect you did not, in fact, get served an arrest warrant because you were at the hearing. And then afterwards, you jumped up on Queen Bee's channel. A search warrant would authorize the police to search a very specific location for evidence of a criminal crime. Is that what happened? Were there vehicles seized, much like the 3 a.m. car was impounded? Is that what you guys were served, was a search warrant? There is a bench warrant that is issued by a court for failure to appear in court, but it doesn't seem that you've missed any pleadings or any mandatory court hearings related to your goings on with Betty, right? Or there is a surety warrant, which authorizes the arrest of a person who has failed to meet certain conditions of bail. That certainly doesn't apply, correct? So those are the types of warrants that are active for Tennessee. Now, there's other types of legal documents. They are certainly not warrants, and they would never, ever be listed as a warrant in the sheriff department or TBI's computer systems. Never. Warrants are a very specific vehicle that have the power of the judge and evidence behind them that are ordering law enforcement to take very specific action. Legal documents don't do that. Like, you can get a summons. This legal document just says, hey, you got to come to court on this particular day or give us a written response and such. There's no evidence required. That you don't need a judge's signature. Same thing with the subpoena. Subpoena is very simple. It's just a legal document that says, hey, court on this day, need to be sure to be there. Oh, and maybe you need to bring these documents or this evidence with you. Again, doesn't require the signature of a judge. Burden of proof, not there. And then there's more general orders that could be issued by the court, such as restraining orders or injunctions. And you are actually involved in that type of matter. But when you say all legal documents are a type of a warrant, that they're listed as a warrant. I'm sorry, Christopher Proudfoot, you are absolutely misleading the people that are trusting in you and believing in you. You're just bald-faced lying to people. It's kind of confusing why you would even want to do that. Like, in what way does it benefit you to tell such a tremendous lie? You know, the point earlier when we were live earlier today, taught just a couple of hours after the warrant was served at your house. And I was saying, you know, there's one way out of this, that this recording of the dispatch, the Sumner County Sheriff's Office dispatch, that this was actually a recording that took place on March 25th. I said that. I said, maybe we're wrong here. Maybe this was not live today. Maybe it's a recording from March the 25th when they gave them the subpoena, and we're kind of being tricked into believing that they said, you know, criminal warrant. But Chris, you have verified now for us that it wasn't a trick, that you guys were served this morning, that the sheriff's office did in fact come to your house with a warrant. Criminal. You made the announcement on Queen Bees. You did. So the truth now is out. Now I have zero doubt. I know your sycophants, your fearless followers, the women that are fighting to be wife number 6 and 7, they're all still going to just fall in line, blindly follow you, believe whatever nonsense that you spout. But for people that are thinking and people that are interested in the truth, there's something very, very curious about what's happened in the last few days. I sort of think it started with SF Investigates bowing out in his very dramatic high school girl-esque behavior when he starts screaming and yelling at Jay and everybody, and then says, I quit. I can't work with Chris Proudfoot anymore, and then disappeared. That was really weird, right? It's real strange. And I thought to myself, does he feel the heat coming? Has law enforcement mentioned to him that things are about to get to an important place in the investigation? Did he feel like he misjudged what was happening and decided he no longer wanted to be affiliated with Chris Proudfoot and his family? Maybe. I don't know. I'm simply hypothesizing or speculating, correct? Queen Bee came into Mob Cruise Chat and said Chris wanted to come up on panel and talk to Chris, but Chris said he was not equipped to bring someone up. CP is all over YouTube tonight. I noticed the last couple of days, including today, she's putting distance between herself, Queen, Jay, and whoever else that will stoop so low. She said she draws a line and won't read out trash. Well, I don't want to look. The drama is real, right? The drama's deep. It is. This some very curious goings on the streets of YouTube in the past, 10 days or so. But I think we have to be very careful when Christopher Proudfoot speaks. He can speak with such confidence and authority that he makes himself sound like he knows what he's talking about. Listen to this again.
I hope Betty enjoys her time while she was in Tennessee. I hope she has a safe trip back to Florida, and she stays in Florida. Enjoy that sunshine. We're fixing to get some nasty weather up here.
Well, does she have to show up or are they just going to continue as the continuum without her showing up like last time?
Well, see, I don't know. Unfortunately, that is not something that is addressed in this court hearing. I think that'd be something that her and her attorney would have to figure that out, honestly. I don't want to overstep or say something that might be inaccurate or that don't really have any bearing on
Well,
things.
maybe you. I mean, you have to show up, right? You got subpoenaed, so do you have to show up there, or are they going to let you know before showing up, and they're going to change the date?
Well, I mean, so as it stands right now, like we were served a subpoena this morning. That's everybody went crazy. Oh my God, there was a criminal warrant. Actually, no. There was a sheriff that showed up to our house this morning, and he served us with a subpoena.
Okay, so you hear him, right? He speaks with authority. He speaks in this very rational, low voice, like, oh, you guys are misinformed. Let me help you out with the truth. And yet, he's flat out lying. He's just simply lying. The subpoena was given on March the 25th. It was filed as having been served on March the 25th. That law enforcement, that deputy very clearly says, show me at 1008 Stafford Court serving a warrant criminal. It was very clear. There was no stuttering. So what do you do? I mean, the fact that Christopher Proudfoot has this weird ability to kind of present himself as an authority, to act like he's the rational guy in the room and he's telling truth. Like, what do you do with that? Is that normal for somebody to be able to do that? Is it rare? Maybe he's the only one that has that ability to just bald-faced lie. But in truth, he's absolutely lying. Like, who does that? Who remembers this court case? Who remembers? If you remember the showdown between Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, put a 1 in the chat. Remember what we're talking about. The ability to speak and tell bald-faced lies, and to do it with authority and do it with, just relaxed, kind of lackadaisical boredom. Like, yeah, it's total. What I'm saying is totally true. And you guys are just dumb for not believing me. Let's take a walk down memory lane and take a listen to one Amber Heard discuss the difference between pledging $7 million and paying $7 million.
So if we could please play and publish to the jury Plaintiff's Exhibit 346.
346 in evidence.
And actually were all kinds of accusations flying your way when you said all this, and then there was a divorce.
Uh-oh, what happened?
$7 million in total was donated to, I split it between the ACLU and Children's Hospital of Los Angeles.
ACLU is a human rights organization.
Sorry, ACLU is a prominent organization, nonprofit organization in the United States. Yeah. It's called the American Civil Liberties Union, and they work on behalf of marginalized communities on the ground and in legislative reform. Right. And
well, more power to you, because that's something that I've never heard
of. I wanted nothing.
She wanted nothing. She did not want not $1 of Johnny Depp's money. And watch her demeanor as she speaks. She is speaking like she is telling the truth, and she is she's serious about what she's saying. She's honest. I mean, she has the same air of authority that Christopher Proudfoot uses when he babbles about HIPAA violations.
ACLU is a human rights organization.
Sorry, ACLU is a prominent organization, nonprofit organization in the United States. Yeah. It's called the American Civil Liberties Union, and they work on behalf of marginalized communities on the ground and in legislative reform. Right. And
well, more power to you, because that's something that I've never heard of.
I wanted nothing.
And they're even like saying, "Oh, you're such a good person," yada yada yada. Okay, so you think, wow, that takes a lot of gall to get up and just lie ball face like that to basically the world, whoever tuned in to the show. And I think that's the one thing about people like Chris, when he talks like that and he's telling these tremendous lies, you think to yourself, why, how could he lie like that? Isn't he afraid of being revealed as a liar? Like, wouldn't that be the ultimate shame, right? You don't want to be, nobody wants to be unveiled as a liar. So watch what happens when the attorneys really start kind of pinning her down and saying, "Now, are you sure you want to say this? Like, let's really get down to facts and truth." And old Amber doubles down, just like one Christopher Proudfoot.
This interview was in October of 2018, right, Ms. Heard?
I don't recall when it was.
It was in 2018, right, Ms. Heard?
I don't remember when this was done.
This was after you had received the full $7 million of your divorce settlement from Mr. Depp, wasn't it?
Again, without knowing when it was recorded, I have no idea.
Vague, not wanting to get pinned down on specifics, just babbling, right? I think Deception Detective talks about that a lot. The way that the Proud Feet answer questions, that it's very slippery. They don't really give you information.
The $7 million divorce settlement was paid to you in full by February of 2018, right?
That's correct.
Let's take a look at Defendant's Exhibit 1458, which is already in evidence.
And she's so matter of fact. It just drives me crazy.
This is the deal point memorandum from your divorce settlement, right, Ms. Heard?
Yes, that's what it looks like.
And if we go down to the bottom of page 4, there's a heading labeled equalization payment. Do you see that?
Yes.
And underneath.
Okay, now they're just going to go through and they're just going to go into the actual individual payments she received at certain times.
$100,000, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Mr. Depp's accountant, Edward White, testified that he made that payment directly.
You got to turn on your microphone, Ms. Berderhoff. I'm not going to hear you.
Objection to her testifying to what Mr. White.
In court.
I'll overrule objection.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Depp's accountant, Edward White, testified that he made the payment directly to the ACLU and CHLA, correct?
I believe so.
And more wiggling.
I don't believe they were. He might have
That's
testified.
not my question, Ms. Heard. My question was, you were here in court when Mr. White testified under oath that all the payments were made on schedule.
I was here every day in court. I heard his testimony, yes.
So back to October of 2018, this was before Mr. Depp sued you for defamation, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
He didn't sue you until after the op-ed came out in December of 2018, right?
He sued me in 2019.
And the op-ed came out in December of 2018.
That is correct.
You hear that arrogant, above it all tone in her voice? Doesn't it sound like someone we know?
Correct.
So in October of 2018, you had received your entire $7 million divorce settlement. You would agree with me?
That is correct.
And you hadn't yet been sued by Mr. Depp.
This is October, correct.
So in this October 2018 interview, you said that you had, quote, donated, end quote, your entire divorce settlement to charity, right?
That's correct.
And in fact, your exact words were, quote, $7 million in total was donated to, I split it between the ACLU and the Children's Hospital of Los Angeles, end quote, right?
That's correct. I made that statement as soon as I got a divorce and we reached the settlement. That's when I pledged it right then.
And you say this because you, quote, wanted nothing, end quote.
That is correct.
But you hadn't donated your entire $7 million settlement to charity at that point, had you?
That's incorrect.
Sitting here today, Ms. Hurd,
listen.
you still haven't donated the $7 million divorce settlement to charity. Isn't that right?
Incorrect. I pledged the entirety of the
Ms. Hurd,
settlement,
that's
$7
not
million
my
to
question.
charity, and I
Hurd,
intend to
Ms.
fulfill
Hurd,
those
Ms.
obligations.
Hurd, that's not my question. Please
What was
try to
your
answer my
question?
question. Sitting here today, you have not donated the $7 million donated, not pledged, donated the $7 million divorce settlement to charity.
I use pledge and donation synonymous with
Oh,
one another.
okay. All right. She says it's the same thing, to pledge or to donate, that's just the same thing. And what did Christopher Proudfoot say? That subpoenas and warrants are the same thing. And there's someone in the chat right now who's saying, oh, law enforcement, they interchangeably use those words. No, they don't. No, they don't. That is silly. And the one proof that I have for the mama person who's saying that law enforcement use them synonymously, how are you going to explain away the date, mama? What are you going to do about the date? The date on the paper, the subpoena, says March the 25th. And in fact, when you go to Sumner County system and look it up, it says that it was served on March the 25th. What's today? Today is April the 2nd. And Christopher Proudfoot has verified that indeed Sheriff Sumner County showed up at his house today and served them. He's calling it a subpoena. The law enforcement called it a warrant. Pledges are not donations, and subpoenas are not warrants. I don't care who you are.
But I don't. Ms. Hurd, I don't use it synonymously.
That's how donations are paid.
Ms. Hurd, respectfully, that's not my question. As of today, you have not paid $3.5 million of your own money to the ACLU. Yes or no?
I have not yet.
And as of today, you have not paid $3.5 million of your own money to the Children's Hospital of Los Angeles, correct?
I have not yet. Johnny sued me.
So as of
it's
today,
someone. So finally she gets pinned down by one of the world's best attorneys, right? And then she says, but it's not my fault. It's Johnny's fault. It's someone else's fault. And I would be willing to bet that Christopher Proudfoot is somewhere right now, this minute, blaming the warrant that he received today on someone else. Common sense goes a long way in all these cases. Absolutely. And, the whole, if you can't baffle them with brilliance, dazzle them with bullshit, right? And Christopher Proudfoot is very, 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 very comfortable saying things that are just simply not true, exactly like what we just saw with Amber Heard. They speak with authority. They speak with confidence, this arrogant air about them. And then in the end, we find out they're just simply liars. So what are the facts? I don't know if y'all want to continue listening to this until finally she gets her. I don't think so. We'll end that right there. So what are the facts here? The thing to keep front and center. Well, the thing to keep front and center with no kind of equivocation, no lying, no blaming it on other people, right? In fact, Chris Proudfoot has verified Sumner County Sheriff's Office did come to his house today, and we do in fact hear on the dispatch that he is there to serve a warrant, a criminal warrant. That can't be argued. And if you try to say that a subpoena and a warrant are the same thing, or that all legal documents are warrants, like Christopher Proudfoot said, then you just look like a clown. It's just not true at all. None. So I don't pretend to know what the warrant was referencing. There is no way to know that right now. I guess, if we do a FOIA request and such, we could get some more information. But I do think that we're seeing people distance themselves from the Proudfoot, and based on the fact that the Bower Sox and Proudfoot were out in front of the courthouse screaming and yelling at each other and pointing fingers, that tells me that stress, that pressure is mounting. And I don't think that was old Bullhorn Betty causing that stress. Going around putting up some damn flyers? You think that's enough to make them that upset? Nope. Them up there at the courthouse was right after that warrant was served. Something else is happening. Oh, yeah. And my dog stepped on a bee. Weird cringe face. Yeah, right, Vera? Yes. So I don't know. What do you guys think about the, Mama? Oh my God. It's so frustrating because I don't know why people won't think. Yes, the Bullhorn Betty case is criminal. You're correct. Why are you ignoring that Christopher Proudfoot admitted that the sheriff's department was at his house this morning, April the 2nd? How is that hard to understand, Mama Bear? You don't just say these are all criminal cases, therefore all the warrants have to do with Bullhorn. That's silly. He's already been served for the court proceeding that's coming on the 16th. That was served on the 25th of March. Something happened today. Something was brought to the Proudfoot home by sheriff's deputy, and that sheriff's deputy, who knows the law, said, I have a warrant, a criminal warrant. And there's only 4 kinds of warrants in Tennessee. Not every legal document is a warrant. That is absurd. And the two are not interchangeable. It's like saying a pledge is the same thing as a payment. That's not the same thing. It's really crazy, isn't it? March 25th, he was served for the April 16th Bullhorn Betty hearing. Exactly, Castle. Yes. That is a very good point in the bushes. Nina is still fighting for the safety of her baby girl. And perhaps that is what was served today. Perhaps the warrant that was served this morning did not have anything to do with Sebastian Rogers. Perhaps it was related to Faith and Nina. So that is a possibility. So thank you for saying that in the bushes. You're exactly right about that. If only they would be using all of this energy searching to find Sebastian. Vicky, I find it baffling that these people choose to waste their money and their time and their energy on Bullhorn Betty. Why? What in the world did she do to you? She is like 5'1" and weighs 100 pounds. What's she going to do to you? It's so strange that they're willing to spend this much money, and it's so weird. It's so bizarre. Was Chris at the courthouse when the scanner was saying they were going to the house? If so, how did he produce that document so quickly if he wasn't there? I don't know, Harley, but Jay for Justice had that document Johnny on the spot, man. I mean, she whipped that out and said, oh, not to worry. This is nothing. It wasn't a criminal warrant. Look, you see where that says subpoena? And Queen Bee's over there. It says subpoena. Everybody look at subpoena. Okay, well, check the date, Queen Bee. He lied in court to the judge in New Mexico. What did he lie about in the bushes in New Mexico? Yes, Blue Bella. Yes. Blue Bella brings up a very interesting point. Since SF investigates the paid mouthpiece, since he was running interference and he is now gone, it's going to be left up to Chris to try to control the narrative. I've got to tell you, Chris Proudfoot, that is not a task I would embark upon if I were you. There is no controlling this beast. This is going to come down to law enforcement. They're going to finish their investigation and they're going to do what they're going to do. And the best thing for you and Katie is to zip your lips, because everything that you've said already, everything that you've done up to tonight, it is all going to be open to be used in a courtroom. Everything. So keep on talking, Chris. Keep on being arrogant like Amber Heard, thinking that you can just lie to people at will and manipulate the narrative. Keep it up. It's going to come back to bite you like a big ass bumblebee. All right, very good point. Criminal warrant is, we all heard it with our own ears. It actually happened in the morning. Yeah, DB, it sure did. It's recorded. And I was actually advocating, saying, wait a minute, we don't know if that was actually today. Maybe that's a recording of March the 25th. We shouldn't jump the gun. And hell, Christopher Proudfoot jumped right up on Queen Bee's channel and said, oh yeah, Sumner County Sheriff came to our house today and served us with a warrant. He said it, bigger than Dallas. Bigger than Dallas. There is an excellent point, Chris, why you should not be running your mouth. You are not smarter than everybody else, buddy. I can promise you the choices that you have made up to now, you ain't even in the same ballpark as smart. We need to pray for Nina. I would be so frightened to know that my daughter had to go to this man's house. I would be so afraid. I don't know how Nina stands it. I don't know how she stands it, truly. Irony Rose said, I just heard him say 20 minutes ago he's getting her for the summer. Oh my God, that poor baby girl. And poor Nina. Oh my God. I can't even think of that. I can't even let my mind go to that. Let's see. You don't search for something that you haven't lost. I mean, that is wisdom right there, right? It kind of is revealing, why haven't we really seen Katie and Chris out searching? They have not gone to any of the vigils. It's very odd. And again, I find it's so bizarre that the Proudfeet are spending all this money and all this time fighting against this little small, tiny wisp of a woman, and she lives like 4 states away in Florida. How could she possibly pose a threat to this angry, marauding man, Chris Proudfoot? Like, we've seen him in action. How in the world is he scared of Bullhorn Betty? What? Are you afraid of her tape that she tapes up the missing posters? Like, what the hell are you afraid of, Chris? So bizarre. No, this is nonsense. This is word salad, Mama Bear. This is word salad. We don't need word salad because we have the voice of Sumner County Sheriff's Deputy. There's no need to have word salad. We have the actual recording of the law enforcement officer. We don't need to pretend and make up words. Oh, pledge means the same thing as donate. No, it doesn't. How about this, Mama? I'll pledge to you my yearly salary. Don't come around expecting to collect it. I'm not going to donate it to you, but I certainly would be more than happy to pledge it. Words have meaning, and a subpoena in no way resembles a warrant, period. This is word salad. And you got to wonder, why is he making his rounds? Why has he come out from underneath the rock? Why is he now out spreading his words far and wide? Why? Are they making an example of Betty to intimidate YouTube channels? But again, Barb, what's the intimidation? Not to talk about Sebastian? Is that what do you feel like would be the end goal? And maybe that is the end goal. Maybe it is, we don't want this discussion happening. He said he was clear. He said he took a polygraph. I mean, the lies they have told have been astounding. And what was it that Katie said? This is one of those memories that just sort of leaves me feeling icky. They leave. Sebastian's only been missing like 3 weeks, right? And they load up in the camper and they go to Mississippi to the Yogi Bear campground, correct? And Nancy Grace says to Katie, is it true that you left your house? And she says, yes, ma'am. She's being very meek and yes, ma'am. I'm going to pretend to be like a little girl and then you can't be mad at me. Right? Yes, ma'am. I left my... And Nancy says, why? Like, what if your son returns home? Oh, it's okay. I left him a blanket and food on the back porch. She literally said that. So Nancy Grace is like, wait a minute. You don't have any kind of awareness that if he comes home, he's going to be scared and he's going to want the comfort of his mom. Right? That like everybody was thinking the same thing except for Katie and Chris. They just didn't seem to get that. Why it was so wrong that she left the house like that. And I'll never forget her answer. Who remembers Katie's answer to Nancy Grace when Nancy said, why did you leave the home? Who remembers what she said? I mean, it chilled me to my bone. You remember what she said? Because he could be anywhere. Oh, okay, Katie. So you went to the Yogi Bear campground to search for Sebastian because he might just be at the Yogi Bear campground. Nonsense. Absolute nonsense. Total and complete nonsense. Not real. If Sebastian is still alive and he comes home, he will be a totally different person than the person that left the house that night, and probably not in a good way. I mean, you're probably right, Harley. He could be anywhere and everywhere, and we're looking everywhere. There you go, Sammy. There you go. Thank you so much. It was just chilling, wasn't it? The simplicity of the lie. It was just so unrealistic. It was just so childlike. It's like, no, you're not going to find Sebastian in Mississippi. That's absurd. Oh my goodness. It's just terrible. It was really terrible. He didn't go back to work in Memphis. They fired him. Well, and that was the other part of the Nancy Grace interview. Again, Chris Proudfoot speaking with the authority and the arrogance of Amber Heard. You know what I think? I think that sounds like a t-shirt slogan. Do you guys think we should make a t-shirt that says spoken with the arrogance and the authority of Amber Heard. That's a good one, right? Everybody would know what that meant. He sat there and he said, "Oh, well, we had to come here. I had to bring my little woman with me because I had to go back to work." Remember? And then 5 questions later, "Oh, well, it's up in the air whether I'm going to be able to go back to work." You remember that nonsense? It's incredible. And that's what we fear, Lisa King. That's the fear, that no mother who was looking for her baby, who had a runaway, no, that mother is not moving from that house. Not for, you're not even going to leave that house to go up to the grocery store lest you miss your child coming home. The idea that I've got to be here because if Sebastian comes walking up the driveway, I have to be here to offer him comfort. I have to be here to give him confidence. I have to be here to make sure that he's not hurt. I have to be here to make sure that I should cook him a warm meal, right? That all mothers would be thinking those same exact things, or that pattern of thought. I can't leave the last known location that my child would be looking for me. Correct? You just couldn't do it. All right. Why don't you move along? You're boring. Oh, Queen of Tadpoles. It's a cute name. I'm so glad he was denied. How did you hear about that? He wanted to go on. That is directed at Castle. Oh, you're talking about that they wouldn't let Chris onto Mob Crew? Me too, Kathy. Thank you for saying that. Yeah, when that realization really hit me that they were literally in Mississippi in a camper and there was no one at their house and Sebastian could come walking home, I just thought to myself, what happens to Sebastian if he comes home and there's nobody there? And I felt very sad for Sebastian. I felt very, very sad. I was so mad when she said that. I'm in remission of colon cancer. When I heard that, I about busted my phone. I know, brown eyed girls. This is the nuttiest case. I used to think that the Summer Wells case was just egregious to try to deal with because of the lifestyle and the people that were involved and whatnot. And this thing with Sebastian Rogers is so much worse than that. And it's my opinion that it's been made worse by the Proudfoot Bowersox clan. That they befriended these YouTube creators and they feed these bullshit narratives to the creators. And then subscribers blindly believe whatever those creators say, regardless of how silly it is. Like Mama Bear is in here and she's saying, what happened to healthy debate? Why can't we, discuss, the subtlety? There's no subtlety. It's word salad. Subpoenas and warrants are not the same thing. And a sheriff's deputy isn't going to make the mistake of not knowing the difference between a warrant and a subpoena. That's the facts, Mama Bear. And it's a moot point. What you're saying is a moot point because Chris Proudfoot came out on Queen Bee's channel and verified that indeed he was served today. So there's no, you're not even offering a debate. You're asking us to believe that, that the clouds are made of cotton candy. Thank you, Scotty. Jules Tori, she left him some yoo-hoo and snacks. I appreciate your details, Irony Rose. You are exactly right. I had forgotten that. She did say yoo-hoo and snacks. He's trying to keep people from talking. So glad that Mob Crew turned him away. Exactly, Kim, because all he was going to do was go up on Mob Crew and spout more of this word salad. And you saw how Amber Heard continued to hang on to her BS that a pledge is the same thing as a donation, right? Even when the national news have cameras pointed at her, the courtroom is filled with people. There are attorneys questioning her. There's a judge and Johnny Depp himself, and she can't admit the truth. She hangs on to her lies at all costs. And that's exactly what would have happened on Mob Crew. Chris Proudfoot would have gone up on his channel and spouted his lies, and people like Mama Bear would believe them. For the SO to broadcast the call through dispatch, they wanted everyone to know about it. You know, Tree Hugger, I wondered about that. That's not very often, is it, that you hear on dispatch, you hear them announcing that they're serving a warrant. That was something different. I would totally agree with you about that. Google Maps shows exactly which truck Christopher Proudfoot has at Stafford Court as of 2 months ago. Was it the black one, Baby Son Forever? He was on clues and he was respectful. He was incredibly respectful on Queen Bee's as well. Very, very subdued. Very, very logical, right? Not I'm brash, I'm tough, I'm bold. Yeah, none of that. All that is gone. The world of Christopher Proudfoot has definitely changed. She originally put out chocolate milk, then changed it to Yoo-hoo. We do not know. Ilva, I love your name. We do not know what the warrant was for. We just know that it was a criminal warrant. So it is possible that it could have been related to Nina and Baby Faith. It also could have had something to do with the investigation with concerning Sebastian. Yeah, but we don't know. We don't know. Did you find it? It should be on the court website. So once it's served, it has to roll over to a different number. So maybe tomorrow it'll be up. FBI, open up. Castle. We don't know what the warrant was for. I'm just getting to the Amber Heard part, and you are a great speaker. Well, aren't you a very kind person? Thank you so much. Please subscribe. I would welcome that. Why would that momster leave him yoo-hoos when she constantly said he wasn't allowed to have sugar? I mean, that's a good question. Where is Summer? Hot mess. I don't know. Summer was so small, and the parents are so conflicted, let's say that, or compromise. Compromise is a good word. The parents were quite compromised. There's a lot of drug addiction, mental illness, depression, anxiety. There's a lot. Poor baby Summer. There was so much going wrong in her life. It's really pitiful. And the boys too, you know, we can't forget about them. They were victimized as well by the circumstances. All right. They're trying to say the date is the day the judge signed it. Then the clerk stamped it, not the day it was delivered. Sorry, no, Bluebella, where they stamp it received, that is served. That's why it says the 19th, and then it's marked through, and it's handwritten the 25th. It took them 6 days to finally get it served. Forgive my terrible typing. CP reaches out to all creators and gets them on his side. All but Bullhorn Betty. Yeah, he's never tried to be my friend, Karma Moon. But I feel like I'm in good company, so I'm good. So you don't know, but you are saying it's criminal. It is criminal for without a shadow of a doubt. It's criminal because the sheriff's deputy says that. The sheriff's deputy says that he's serving a warrant criminal. It is actually said. He has definitely toned down his speech. I mean, there's some very strange changes afoot, and I would never presume to say what the predicate or the catalyst is for these changes. But I do think it's notable that SF Investigates bails out. Why? Because Jay does an interview with Julie that wasn't look, the interview was a nothing burger. It was boring. It was not controversial or negative. It was just a good conversation. It was just a good exchange of information. And nobody was like winning, or it was just talking. It was nothing. And the way that SF Investigate behaved was like Jay and Clue and the rest were like, oh, Chris Proudfoot is a bad guy. We totally agree with Julie. We're on Julie's side. That did not happen. They stood their ground. They voiced very firmly that they believe in Chris Proudfoot, and that it was not like that. And the way that SF Investigates responded was just bizarre. It was definitely a bigger emotional reaction than what the situation called for. And then he culminated with, oh yeah, and I quit. And with that, he just abandons Sebastian and leaves the case. And now that he's gone, a few days later, we get Sumner County Sheriff's Department showing up at the house to serve a criminal warrant, and they announce it on dispatch. And then we get Chris Proudfoot back on the streets of YouTube, making the rounds, telling his story, manipulating folks. Right? What is that? He hasn't been up forever except for the geofencing truck. Elevated Truth really triggered him, and that caused him to come out from underneath his rock and say, don't talk about my truck. Right? That was the last time we heard from him. And now here we are. And he's back active again. Very, very curious. Very curious. They were listening to the scanner, hoping Bullhorn Betty would be going to jail. Instead, they heard what we heard. God has a sense of humor, and he played it out today. God definitely punked Christopher Proudfoot this morning. No doubt. It's crazy. You couldn't write this in a movie. You couldn't write this. You can go look it up for yourself. You want to know so bad. CP, are you now going on Lore Lodge? I hope that CP will go on Lore Lodge, and more importantly, I hope that CP will go on Deception Detective. And Chris, the truth is you're probably safe going on Deception Detective, but I wouldn't put Katie up there. I'm not sure she would be. Yeah, and that is very curious, isn't it, Polly? Very curious. One thing he did say was that he has his daughter, my daughter. I got my daughter, my daughter. Yep. No, it will be there after service. In my opinion, the SO wanted everyone to know about it. Otherwise, they would not have had the officer notify dispatch publicly. I mean, it's interesting. It's an interesting thing. CP does not scare a real Southern mama. That's all I can say. Absolutely. 100%. And you know why that is? Because we recognize people like him. That's why listening to him say, that subpoenas and all legal documents are warrants, right? That's what he's saying. And in my head, I said, oh, Lordy mercy, we got Amber Heard again. Pledging is the same thing as donating. And I was like, good gracious. He is black and white kind of guy. It's his words. Oh, is that right, Irony? That's interesting. That he had a lot of teachable moments from the audience tonight. He was respectful and he was sweet. You know, Irony, I would agree with that description. That's how he was on Queen Bee today. He was very low key and very, very respectful. Yep, sure was. It is terrible, spiked Mountain Dew. It is just, it's one of those cases that you just have this internal compulsion to protect. You know, it's just terrible. It's a sad, sad, sad case. All right. Search warrants are served all the time, and in order to keep the element of surprise, they are not dispatched. And if maybe they were already at the courthouse, and then we found out that there was a huge fight, that Christopher Proudfoot and his mother were screaming and yelling at each other. So and the only thing, I won't presume to try to figure out why that is, but I think on its surface, I think it's a reflection that they're feeling the heat. They're feeling the heat. Something has them very uncomfortable. Laura Lodge, have an invitation for you, Chris Proudfoot. Look, I like the two Aidens. I don't think it would be dangerous at all for Christopher and Katie to go on the Laura Lodge. They're very polite. They're not going to play like any weird gotcha moments. I think it would be a good choice for a unbiased interview. I think it'd be a good choice. We all have theories, but until evidence is presented at an actual trial, we should be kind to one another. We just have theories. True to all of that. Agree with you, DB. And I think this is one of the reasons why the criminal warrant that we heard about today from the deputy, I think that's so interesting to me, because inherently what that means is there's evidence of something. They're not going to get that. They're not going to get that warrant without evidence. A judge isn't going to sign off without some type of evidence. So they've got something, but the question is, what? Is this related to Sebastian? Is it related to Bullhorn Betty? Is it related to Nina and Faith? And that is something we absolutely do not know. Yeah, they look just alike, didn't they? It's kind of creepy. And I would agree, he's very conniving. Yep. Thank you, Irony Rose. You're so sweet. You're a good friend. Oh my God, Mama Bear. Oh my God, you're driving me crazy. Stop. How old are you? Are you 16? You argue in a way that you have great passion. Stop. I know what you did. You copied and pasted from Google. Thank you. Thank you for doing that. That was a big look. Everybody say thank you, Mama Bear. That was a lot of help. It was good to read the Google answers, and I appreciate that. Thank you. Everybody, please thank Mama Bear for looking it up on Google. All right? That's a really nice thing that you did. There's a different degree of danger when serving a criminal warrant versus a subpoena, and that is why the deputy let them know what he was out on. And Blue Bella, Chris's temper is kind of famous. If you would agree that Christopher Proudfoot's temper is famous on YouTube and probably in Hendersonville, put a 1. If you don't think he's got a bad temper, put a 2. Oh, hey, stop. That's my dog coughing. I'm sorry. What's wrong with her? Criminal warrants are not the same as subpoenas. It doesn't matter if you type. Thank you, baby son. It doesn't matter if you shout it in all caps or paste it from Google. They're not the same. They're not the same. They are not even remotely. They're not. There's nothing that's similar about them, and no law enforcement is going to confuse the two. I personally never heard on any scanner a police saying they are serving a warrant except the one today. I mean, that could be a deadly ambush result for any police officer because scanners are public. Very good point. Hey, Denise P.I., how are you doing with the cute puppies? Maybe a bit of obstruction of an investigation threat to one who just up and left the search. What is that? Maybe a bit of obstruction of an investigation threat. I'm gonna have to really think about that. Interesting. You guys. I have to laugh. I have to chuckle. Hold on a minute. We're going to do something here in just a second. Y'all keep that thought in your mind that police officers never announce a criminal warrant service. Never. Y'all keep that in mind. Hang with me just 1 minute. Okay. I'm going to be your friend. Here we go. All right. Okay, just hold that thought. Okay. This is going to be so fun. We're actually heard you called. We're actually going to do modern technology crap. All right. And modern technology crap is like, ta-da! You see how cool that is? Now listen, you're going to actually get to hear what happened this morning right at the time that court was supposed to be happening. And then court was delayed by 2 hours after this announcement went out over law enforcement's radio. I just love modern technology. It's like we're all like employed by NASA or something.
Yes, okay. Tennessee 116-400-29. OC on please. 202, guys. Can you show me out at 1008 Stafford Court, warrant criminal? Yes, okay. Tennessee 116.
Whoa. What was that? What's 1008, y'all? Yeah, this is from the Sumner County Dispatch 7 minutes ago. Was this 7 minutes ago? 3 sides? What? Hold on. Let me play it again.
Hold on.
529. OC on please. 202, guys. Can you show me out at 1008 Stafford Court, warrant criminal? Yes, okay. Tennessee 116-400.
What the fuck? Wait, 3 sides. When did you? That is their house.
Now remember,
Warrant criminal.
Remember, heard you called says that this never happens. Never. It never happens. And yet, heard you called, it did.
Uh-oh.
That's
What's
right,
going
Jay. Uh-oh.
Does it say anything else?
Right?
Hold on.
C-Star, she sounds like she's going to hyperventilate.
Hold on, guys.
She's so excited.
I'm going to text CP and see if anything's going on.
Oh, she's gonna call Christopher Proudfoot and say, "Oh, honey, what? This is wife number 6. Are you okay? Are you safe? Have you been arrested? Okay, have you, what's your name? Heard you called? Help me understand, because isn't that criminal service being announced over dispatch on scanner? Is that what we just heard? What does it mean, heard you called? I mean, I feel like we're waiting on Ferris Bueller. Bueller? I think heard you call left. I think he left. He doesn't, heard you call doesn't like facts. Doesn't like facts, doesn't want facts, isn't going to discuss facts. So for those of you that are saying, like, why were they listening to the scanner, yada, 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 I think, like, now this is just a guess on my part. This group of people have been super excited. He did, look, Mystic Firefly is just like Sebastian. He just poofed. Poof. He's gone. Just like that. Poof. It's so weird. I'm telling you, magic. Magic's in the air around the Proudfoot clan. So these people like Queen Bee's channel and some of the others that are Proudfoot supporters, I think they've been very excited for today to come up. I think they've really, really wanted that. And part of being so excited about it is that they really believed or hoped, I suppose, that Bullhorn Betty would get arrested. Like they were all live and they were all listening and checking and trying to, court's going to start in 30 minutes. Court's going to start in 15 minutes. So it was like a carnival type atmosphere. And I suppose that some of them began listening to the scanner in hopes maybe that they would hear, okay, we're transporting such and such from the courthouse to the jail, right? Maybe they were hoping that they would hear that. Does that make sense? And that is not what that is not what they heard. And I mean, Jay sounded shook. If you think she sounded shook, put a 1. I think she did. She even kind of had a nervous little laugh. And then she was like, oh my God, I got to text Chris. We should call her breaking no news. Maybe. I don't know. I mean, it's actually, I don't think I would say that because it is news. I mean, it is sincerely interesting that this happened. And we had a bunch of YouTubers listening. And don't think that the Sumner County Sheriff's Department didn't know that we would be listening. I think they made the announcement on purpose. I'm probably going to be in trouble. Where's Summer? There's probably going to be hell to pay, but I'll get through it. It'll be okay. It won't be the first time that I was in trouble. All right. So, yeah, I mean, it was a crazy morning. And I think it is very interesting that we heard this live, like as it's going down, right? And then it's even more interesting that Chris Proudfoot goes up on Queen Bee and verifies that it's real. He literally verified it was real. And I was like, what is he doing? As of right now, we don't even know if this is real. Maybe it's an old recording. Maybe it was from March the 25th. And his dumbass goes up there and announces to the world that it was real and that they were served criminal warrants. It's crazy. This is crazy. Well, no such thing as a criminal subpoena. You know what they were even saying? Some of them were even saying that it was a subpoena warrant. And I was like, a subpoena warrant? That's like saying, excuse me, do you have a birth wedding certificate. It's just so ridiculous. A subpoena and a warrant in no way are the same. Just like a birth certificate or a wedding license, those are not the same either. Okay. They're two completely different vehicles. So to say that it's a subpoena warrant, oh, come on. Stop. That's just silly. Stop. The rumor for months they had been trying to serve Katie to give depositions for Bullhorn Betty appeal. Is that right? Maybe that had something to do with it. Yeah, there's meta-analysis, Kim. But you can lose the metadata by uploading it in a certain form. I mean, there is no common sense. I witnessed it today and my jaw was on the ground. Like, I just couldn't believe that people were saying the silliness, like, oh no, a warrant is a subpoena. Oh my goodness. And then they would yell and they would say, it's a subpoena. It's a subpoena for Bullhorn Betty. And everybody's going, we know it's a subpoena. We can see it. But did you look at the date? It wasn't served this morning. So it's so weird. At Night Media just posted to the Facebook. So what did they say, Retha Bell? Oh my God, look at this. In the bushes. And we can trust In the Bushes. In the Bushes doesn't put out gossipy, foolish stuff. Bullhorn Betty's lawyer just said the criminal warrant has nothing to do with Betty. There you have it. So maybe it has to do with Nina, and I'm sure Nina will come out tomorrow and deny it or not. And if it's not about Nina and Faith, then what else could it be? At Night posted, okay. Oh my God, Yvette, really? Okay, people, the subpoena was served on Katie Proudfoot, and it had nothing to do with Bullhorn Betty. So it's not likely Nina. And the 3 a.m. car has been impounded. Yes. If it in any way has anything to do with Sebastian, I'm going to be screaming from the rooftops. They would not tree hug her. I was thinking that, but if this was served directly to Katie, this has nothing to do with Nina. Nothing. Wow, Yvette. For sure the car has been impounded. Yes, in the bushes. Yes. Yes, KC Chiefs. Like you are making the face that's on my face right now as Yvette makes that announcement. The criminal subpoena was served on Katie, not Chris. But that somebody in here just said that the attorney came out and said it was not in conjunction with Betty's case. There is no criminal subpoena. Yvette, a subpoena is not a warrant. It has nothing to do with Betty. Wow, that's crazy, Bluebella. Yeah, they said warrant. You get Rosebud, it's my opinion that it would be a foolish endeavor to believe anything Christopher Proudfoot says. He has such a history of telling bald-faced lies that it's no reason to believe him. Hey, Lady for Justice, good to see you. Exactly, baby son. Yes, Harley. Absolutely. The reward is real, it's active, it's growing, and it's backed by Dwayne Chapman, Dog the Bounty Hunter. Smiley put it out on her channel, and people were telling her that it was false about the woman and showed the woman laying in the hospital on life support. Oh my God. Don't be showing photos of people in the hospital, folks. They were served at 8 something this morning. I'm not going too deep. I'm not gonna explain it anymore. It's a pointless endeavor at this point to try to explain it. FB is saying they have been undermining the reward. I'm so glad you're here, Lady for Justice. It's great to see you. It was the same night the car was impounded, and that car was a dark car. I think they might have been looking for Katie's Apple Watch was on the 25th, but we haven't seen it. I asked the lady why it is a criminal warrant. She said, because all RO cases are criminal, and they were saying, what? Oh, well, yeah, for sure. Blissful, so good to see you. It's been a long time. Welcome. Anyone in the storm's path tonight, please be safe. Winds are picking up in Kentucky. Yeah, you guys be careful. You guys have been getting some crazy weather up there. It's really scary. Please, please, please know where your safe place is. Yeah, they're not very kind. I want to see all of them screaming and fighting at the courthouse. Is it on pay-per-view? I don't know, but that would be fun if somebody got a video of it. Probably, I don't know. I would. Do you think somebody would record it if they saw it? I don't know. A YouTuber would. If a YouTuber saw a bunch of arguing, they'd whip their phones out and start recording it for sure. Streets are on fire tonight. They are. And I just finally had enough and had to quiet the yelling. Can't take it. I thought SCSO only responds to Tennessee residents. You might have been duped. That explanation makes no sense to me. I'm a paralegal here in Kentucky. I can help. Well, so read what Yvette said, because Yvette is trusted. Like, she's a great source of information. So, what would be the point of a sheriff's deputy announcing the department of the subpoena? Why would he do that? That's weird. Oh, wow. Well, be careful, Poppy Love. That is very scary. Because we were listening to War Eagles post today. I don't know why it's not playing right now. It quit for some reason. I guess I need to pull it back up again. Okay. That's here nor there, that, and KB doesn't have a restraining order on her. Yeah, right. The restraining order is on Bullhorn Betty. The plaintiff, what? Yeah, let's think about it like this, Yvette. Why would a plaintiff be receiving a subpoena? Katie is the one that brought the charges against Bullhorn Betty. So, yeah, that makes absolutely no sense. That makes zero sense. No, Jay was not at court. Jay posted the dispatch recording. She posted it on Twitter. And so I was playing the Twitter recording, and Jay just had her thumbnail on it. Oh, what? Someone did get it on video. I heard it was a circus. Really? Who got it, lady? Be careful when it's still like that, Poppy, right? It's when it blows up out of nowhere. In the Pines, the cooter is good around before they close their legs. She probably was in court. I don't even know what that means. That old Cooterville thing is just kills me. It's so bizarre. It's so bizarre. Lady for Justice, you better tell me who's got it, because I'm ready for some laughs. Me and Where Summer are going to go over there and laugh our asses off watching that. Does anybody know the identity of the officer? Was it a patrol officer or a detective? Don't have any idea, Tree Hugger. Zero idea. But FOIA requests can be made starting tomorrow. Maybe we can get more information then. Yeah, there was a big fight with Terry Lynn, wasn't there? There was a problem with Terry Lynn at the courthouse as well. T-Rev is boots on the ground chasing tornadoes in Tennessee. I've gotten a couple of notifications. You all be careful. SF is going, okay? Anybody heard from him? I think he's gone, Just Another Human. I think he has abandoned the Proudfoot clan. No, Terry won't care. She doesn't give a damn. Oh, yeah. One of the reasons the whole Cooterville thing is funny to me is because I don't really understand the application of the term. Cooter. So we're from the country. Okay. I grew up definitely in the sticks. Cooters are like turtles, right? And you every now and then you'd run across like a really old guy who would be named Cooter, like an old drunk. I'm trying to think. There was this guy who used to shoe the horses. His name was Cooter. His nickname was Cooter. And then there was a guy at the little bar. His name was Cooter. And then one time we ended up with this baby raccoon. And we named the little raccoon Cooter because, you know, she played with everything, right? So my mom and dad would say, oh, he's cootering around with this or cootering around with that. So cooter is not a name, that's not a word that I ever had synonymous with female genitalia. So it's weird that that now is being applied as, you know, like it's weird to say, come on in, close your legs. I don't get that. And look, I love for people to have fun. I like to have fun. However, whatever it takes to have a good laugh, that's all that matters. But it's a little baffling to me that, you know, the whole Cooterville thing. I don't know. I even feel foolish talking about it. That has me baffled too. I've never heard of such a thing. If a criminal warrant was established for the residence of such and such, then this is something new. Yvette said that the warrant was served on Katie Proudfoot. Queen Bee and Clue said there are not 5 CPS reports yesterday. Yes, Music Tourette. I did a live about that. Yes. Someone called into Justin's earlier and said that someone has a recording. Man, I want to see that. Yeah. It's chaos in Cooterville. Thank you, C Star. We need to make a song. We need a song that talks about chaos in Cooterville. That'd be great. Terry Lynn and Chris Proudfoot were facing off. Interesting. I don't know. SF freaked out, Poppy Love. He twisted off and quit like a little baby girl, and he even quit the Proudfeet. Said he wasn't gonna try to find Sebastian anymore. Said he just couldn't take it working with Jay is for Justice. It wasn't just Jay, it was Jay and Julie. SCSO will not accept FOIA requests from anyone outside of Tennessee. Oh, well, then we're going to have to get Poppy Love to serve a FOIA. I don't think they can do that, though, can they? Can they limit who they accept a FOIA from? Isn't that a federal law? That's the Freedom of Information Act. I don't think they have that right to say, no, we're not going to. It may cost more money if you live outside of Tennessee, but I think they have to do it. I think it's the law. Well, we know there are at least 2 CPS reports because Christopher Proudfoot admitted to them. But what if the person that got the protective order against another person violated their own protection order? Would that cause a criminal warrant on the petitioner's part? No, I think it's just the same as withdrawing the request for the restraining order. Poppy Love, praying for your safety and that of your family and anyone else in the path of these storms tonight. Lady for Justice, source unknown. It was April Fool's Day yesterday, so hope this is all true. I don't know. So maybe, Patricia, maybe the Sumner County Sheriff's Office played a joke, an April Fool's joke, on the YouTubers. Oh, that'd be nice. Betty called Jay a white. These are not things that I would say in my real life. Bullhorn Betty called Jay is for Justice a wide open cooter because Bullhorn Betty thinks that JLR slept with Jay is for Justice. My husband is looking at me like I've lost my mind.
I know what a cooter is.
What's a cooter?
Yeah, hoo-ha. Lady part.
It's the lady parts. It's the delicates.
Or you can be drunk as Cooter Brown.
We often say drunkard and Cooter Brown. And Cooter Brown was a real guy who was the town drunk. That's a true story. And yes, exactly, Scotty. The Cooters are turtles. They're the box turtles. But listen to this description. Listen. Bullhorn Betty called J is for Justice a wide open cooter because Bullhorn Betty thinks that JLR, another YouTube creator, that JLR slept with J is for Justice.
Yeah, I get it.
It's so ridiculous. Sammy, have you heard of Cooter Brown?
Cooter Brown has his own Wikipedia page.
Cooter Brown is a real person, and he had a terrible alcohol problem, right? So I don't know about all this Cooter, close your legs. I'm not sure about all that. Cooter Brown was a South American folklore. It's a metaphor or metaphorical representation of extreme drunkenness. And the legend suggests that he lived near the Mason-Dixon line from Louisiana during the Civil War, and he avoided military service by staying perpetually drunk. And so, people in the South started saying, "Oh my God, he was drunker than Cooter Brown." That's a true story. But I had never heard Cooter for a hoo-ha. I know a Cooter too. Pretty sure he was an alcoholic. Oh, he was a mixed Native American during Civil War. Very interesting. Yeah. Vera, it's so ridiculous, isn't it? We have the most ridiculous conversations. I was just trying to tell her what was going on. She didn't want to hear it, so I hope she has fun with the other side because they aren't her friends. And she will get all the hate once they are done. Cooter female used strictly by athletes. Cooter madness, girl crazy. From there, Cooter meant vagina is attested from 1986. It's probably via vulgar synecdoche. Oh, that's crazy. All right. My mom would say he was drunker than Cooter Brown. Drunker than Cooter Brown. YouTube is becoming a soap opera. Oh my God, Nancy, it's just terrible. All this Cooter talk is making me itchy. Wasn't there a Cooter in Dukes? Yeah, there was a Cooter in Dukes of Hazzard. Yeah, I think you're right. I think it was Dukes of Hazzard. Let's see. Was there a Cooter in Dukes of Hazzard? Cooter Davenport. Yep. His name was Cooter Davenport. He was in the Dukes of Hazzard. He was played by Benjamin Lewis Jones. Yep. Good memory. He was a mechanic in the Dukes of Hazzard. He borrowed Luke's car. Cooter is an honorary Duke. He shares the same values and often assists the Dukes in escaping Roscoe's clutches or helps them to foil Boss Hogg's schemes. Cooter drives a variety of trucks, including Ford, Chevys, and GMCs, and his tow truck. There you go. Good memory. Wow. I'm impressed. Impressed. All right. Not even drunk or the last man on earth. I'm good. Wasn't there LaCooter in Daisy Duke's show? Hoo-ha. Never heard of it as a turtle. Yeah, growing up, my mama used to call them cooters when we'd see a turtle. Do y'all not remember Cooter on the Dukes of Hazzard? Yeah, he was the mechanic. We can make a song out of that hoo ha ha phrase. we were talking about making a song called Chaos in Cooterville. we'll have to include the hoo ha ha. Cooter Bell was from my home state. Where are you from, Show Poodles? Are you from Louisiana? Crazy Cooter, the mechanic in Dukes of Hazzard. Thank God I'm an independent person who can take care of herself. There you go, Harley. Jules, did you watch the other Yada interview? I did, Sammy. Yeah. What a mess, right? She did a about face. I mean, a 180. Yep. There is a town called Cooterville in Missouri. Thank you, Poco Sue. And was there a car named Cooterville? No, I think Brittany J was just taking that song Coupe de Ville and changing the words to Cooter de Ville. I told my daughter it's like a soap opera when she called earlier. She's glad I'm doing something. Yeah, but did you tell her that you were talking about cooters? And who's doing who? And whose car was parked outdoors? I'm thinking Yada will do what CP and KP want to get back in good graces with the family. I hope not. I hope she does the right thing. You guys, change the subject real quick, but did you hear about the poor man that was locked up by the stepmom? A doctor said the 32-year-old man, 5'9", carried out, weighed 69 pounds. Poppy Love, I did a couple of videos on that. And they were trying, the prosecutor was trying to get her locked up, like in jail. And that damn judge refused. Finally, after 3 court hearings in a week, finally the judge agreed to put a tracker on her ankle. So at least they have that. But can you imagine? She does this to this man, this little boy. And then she just walks around scot-free, doesn't get put in jail. I think it's horrible. We had a guy here in Houston, Poppy Love, who murdered his pregnant wife, and he's out on bail. You murder your wife, you try to set her up as a suicide, and you don't have to spend not one night in jail? Yeah, weird things happen in the court system. I remember the Cooters from Perplex QT's channel. Remember the Cooters used to come into her channel all the time. A cooter is a terrapin. There you go. Exactly. Pseudomys conchina, also slang for vulva. I met Enos when he did his outdoor show. Then my family's TV station aired it on Saturday, and he did some promos. That is some cool stuff, Scotty. Louisiana, yay, Show Poodles. That's my home state. That's where I'm from. The man that was locked up weighed only 69 pounds. Stepmom, he was 6 feet tall, or I think he was 5 feet tall, wasn't he? 5 feet 9 inches. Oh yes, terrible story, Poppy Love. It's not over either. She's going to stand trial unless she admits to doing it. And you know I can't read that, Patricia. I would most definitely 1,000% keep that biological mother away from that man. She's only come out because of the money. She reminds me of Harmony Montgomery's mother. I would agree with everything you said. Yep. Maybe it was a grand jury warrant. But is that criminal, Joyce? Betty said that she and JLR were exclusive. I think he was exclusive with Jays for Justice. I watch Judge. I'm embarrassed to admit that Coffin Duffer's hat. I watch Judge Fletcher all the time. I love how he's so, like no nonsense, right? Like he just gets indignant that he stands up for pure fact. Like he doesn't, there's no judgment. It's just pure fact. So he's kind of fun to watch sometimes. I just got here. CP was on Clues a little bit ago. Was it okay, Brenda, or was it frustrating? Did he act out, or was he polite and respectful? Who's due and who? Yep, who's be and true. It's an old song. Yvette, there are some terrible storms out there tonight. Yep, everybody be safe, please. Wasting away again in Jay's Cooterville. That's so gross. A legend, Val Kilmer, passed today. Yeah, wasn't he like 65? Pretty young. Yeah, 5 feet 9 inches. It's a terrible story. Hey, Fractured Fairy Tales, welcome. I'm sorry, I've been obsessed on the murder of Fabio. That has been the longest trial. Are there any surprises, Fractured Fairy Tales, in the trial? You blew out your flip-flop searching for your lost shaker assault? I'm not a coon ass. My parents are from Texas. I grew up on the Texas-Louisiana border. Yeah, same. Like we're from the sticks, right? We're just country people. More like South Arkansas kind of people. Yeah. If you're north of Natchitoches, if you're north of Natchitoches, you're not a coon ass, right? Searching for my lost shaker assault. You are summoned to a grand jury. I did too, Blue Bella. I'm actually really, really motivated for Lori's trial to really get underway. I'm not sure how I feel about the jury. 13 men and 3 women. Oh, what do you think? Do you think we have the potential for disaster? Do you think she'll be able to use her womanly wiles on one of the unsuspecting men and get a hung jury? I don't know, Harley. I don't know. That's not, some men make you say hubba hubba and some men don't, right? Yeah. C3PO with skin on it. I'm sorry, I could be exclusive. Standards must be pretty low. You guys are brutal, man. The terrible thing is that she has a clip of BJ singing Cooter DeVille that she uses as a sound effect. In fact, all her sound effects are Britney. It's so weird to me, Sammy, because she claims that she hates Britney, right? Okay, well, why have you started talking like her? And why do you tell Britney's jokes? And why do you show her video every night? And why are all of your sound clips all Britney? Like you actually like Britney. You're enjoying Britney. Britney makes you laugh. She makes you smile. You're having fun with Britney. But in this weird way, it's like you're kind of like the little boy that likes the girl in class, but he pulls her hair and makes her cry. I think you actually really like Britney, but but you don't know how to admit it, and so you come out just being a bully. Been in East Texas for 30 years. East Texas is a good place to be. I'm here in LA, a salon owner, so this case has me on lock. I bet. Absolutely. Fabio? Yeah, he's all the rage back in the day, wasn't he? Well, did you grow up eating squirrels? I myself have definitely eaten squirrel mulligan. My papa and dad, they would go squirrel hunting and then come back. My mama would make us some squirrel mulligan. And anybody that's from North Louisiana or any part of Louisiana, if they lie and say that they haven't had squirrel mulligan, they're not telling you the truth. Roll Tide. Grand jury is not a warrant. It's a summons, right? I don't think they did, Pamela. It may have been a search warrant. Yeah, you can share it, Fractured Fairy Tales. That's okay. Katie was in court today. Yeah, it's probably a search warrant. She's going to do her best to flirt her way into those guys' hearts. I wondered about that, Kathy. It only takes one to get a hung jury. Nate said Lori was very timid when she would attempt to question the jurors. Now that blows me away, Blue Bella. That is shocking. I can't believe that. Cooterville came from Betty because Betty said Jay's cooter was Pino. So that's how they ended up with the name Cooterville? Okay, that makes sense. Yep. Wow. Interesting. Leave a cat, says Bama. She was at court today. How did she look? Any better than the last news story? Yeah, I thought she looked kind of odd the last interview she did. I know, in the bushes. I know. It's so weird. The obsession is so strange. My youngest son was a hair model for Fabio in Toronto. Wow. Harley. I am not saying that. It doesn't matter how hard you try to get me to read. So I am not saying that. Lori Davis certainly isn't doing herself any favors by being argumentative with the judge. I mean, day before yesterday, she was full of herself, wasn't she? Hi, Lizzie and Kurt. Welcome. Good to see you. I am definitely from Louisiana. Yeah, Texas is awesome. You didn't see her? I had a meemaw and a peepaw. Yeah, my meemaw was I didn't call her meemaw, I called her mamaw. My mamaw was my person. My mamaw and my dad. So I'm super close. My mamaw, my dad, and then my little brother. We're all really good friends. She is obsessed with Brittany in a very unhealthy way. I believe Jay has to put Brittany down to try to feel better about herself. I believe grand jury would have been an indictment myself. I mean, I'm kind of confused why there hasn't been a move. With all dudes, the jury is definitely to be hung. 13 guys, 3 women. You know what that means, Coffin Daffer's hat? You do have the possibility of an all-male jury when they pull their alternates. It's pretty scary. I hunted squirrels and enjoyed me some squirrel gravy and mashed taters. There you go. Did Poco Sue, Did you guys do fried squash blooms? My mama used to make me fried squash blooms. They were yummy. Yeah, first they're fighting over JLR. Now they're fighting over Chris Proudfoot. Search warrant after 15 months. Well, I thought it was a little late 2 weeks after, but if it's a search warrant now after a year, why? I don't know, Poppy. It's very confusing. It's very strange. CB lost a ton of weight. That's interesting. Maybe she's on the jab. A shaved head? Gross. That's as funny as the nickname they gave Clue. I don't know what's the nickname they gave Clue, Pamela? Oh, I saw that, Vicky. Yeah. I have a t-shirt that says, "Oh, I'm sorry, did I roll my eyes out loud?" There's going to be a lot of people rolling their eyes out loud. I've had gator tail, gator bite. Oh man, I love me some fried gator. Shrimp gumbo and best frog legs out of Florida. I have been transfixed on Fabio's trial. It has been a long trial, that's for sure. My mamaw. Poco Sue's a proud hillbilly. My mamaw was my buddy growing up. She taught me to garden and quilt. There you go. I think Jay is married. You think the men are going to be sympathetic to poor Charles? I mean, sincerely, Blue Bella, when you see him on the video and he's saying, "I love my wife, but she's gone crazy," that could be very sympathetic to the men. Squash blooms fried? Oh, yeah, Liba Cat. So good. You go out in the morning before they drop, while they're open, pick them while they're open, put them in ice water while you get your batter and everything, and then you just fry it up. You batter them with cornmeal and egg and fry them, and they are yummy. Wasting away in Margaritaville. I love me some Jimmy Buffett. I grew up on Jimmy Buffett. And David Allen Coe. Man, love David Allen Coe. Court and Crime with Tia. Yeah, I love her channel. She is all about time frames and calls it, gives recaps, and does not hold back. Yeah, she's got the Court and Crime with Tia is a great channel. Very good. True crime. I would agree with that, Patricia. That happens sometimes with some people. Oh, thank you for Fractured Fairy Tales. Battered and fried squash blooms. Look at Harley coming in here talking about them fried squash blooms. They yummy. Love frog legs. Ooh, got food poisoning. Yuck. I'm getting frustrated with the docket. I might join you on Tia's. Well, Fractured Fairy Tales will be on Tia's. You can join her. Watercress salad with bacon and drippings. That sounds delicious, Cassie. All right, folks. Ooh, I can't say that, Pamela. I can't say that. All right. Yeah, it was terrible, him begging for help. And you could just tell he was lost. Yes, man, I love me some tiger sauce. Where's Summer? Do you buy it at the grocery store? I put tiger sauce on everything. Boiled shrimp, everything. Man, I love me some tiger sauce. That is so funny that you said that. I thought I was the only one in the world that liked tiger sauce. Yeah. 9 men and 3 women. That's exactly right. She did it. I don't know how they did it, but I was shocked. 22 squash, and there were a ton of blooms. Yeah, you ought to try. You ought to try. Like I said, go out early in the morning while the blossom's still open. Pick it, wash it with ice water, and then you just batter it and fry it just like you would anything else, like green tomatoes or whatever. My mama taught me to cook good old Southern food. She always said that's the tick to a man's heart. She said if a woman can't make a homemade biscuit, she's not worth a man having. That's hilarious. Yeah, I got my mama's cookbook. It's got all of her handwritten notes and stuff in it. It's pretty fun. Okay, folks, we are at 10:15, and I was up very late last night, so I'm not going to do that again tonight. Just another human. You are a sweetheart. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for the support. And I love you, and I think that you rock. So thank you so much for the super chat. You're awesome. Thank you, thank you. All right. Do you believe that Barry? Oops, wait, what did it say? Do you believe that Barry will have to pay for what he did to Suzanne? I believe it in my heart, Blue Bella. I have 100% faith they are coming for Barry Morphew. I believe that. Yep, sure do. Oh, you're so sweet, Eva. Thank you so much. Rosebud, thank you, thank you, thank you. Rosebud says, thanks you for your live stream and your input. And thank you so much for your super chat, Rosebud. I appreciate it so much. Bye, Scotty. Thank you for being here. It was good to see you. Did you guys hear about catching a great white shark in Old Hickory Lake in Gallatin, Tennessee? No. How would a great white shark get into Gallatin, Tennessee? That is a deep ocean fish or shark. And justice for Suzanne. Always justice for Suzanne. Thank you so much, my friend. Fractured Fairy Tales. Thank you for the super sticker. You guys are very sweet. Thank you. All right, folks. I hope that you all sleep well. And maybe tomorrow we'll get a little bit more insight about the criminal warrant that Katie got. It was probably a search warrant of some sort. And until then, should we do a nice quiet song since it's time to go to sleep instead of our, bam, bam, bam. All right. Everybody have a nice rest tonight.